Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be continuing our 2022 House prediction series by focusing on the southwestern United States. We've previously already covered the Northwest and the South, so if you want to see those videos and more prediction videos and election analysis and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing down below, hitting the bell icon, and hitting that like button. It really helps the channel out and helps me make more videos like these. So anyway, let's jump straight into it. So the first state we're going to be covering is the state of Colorado. Now, Colorado had an independent commission draw their districts. It's one of the reasons why you have a relatively fair map and an advantageous one for the Republicans at that in this election cycle, with 3 safe Republican seats and 3 safe Democratic seats, with a lean Democratic seat and then a lean Republican seat thrown in there. So Colorado actually gained a congressional district from the census, and that new district actually has a partisan rating of R+3. So already you have a pickup opportunity for the Republicans. So first off, we're going to fill in that district as lean Republican, as right now I think, given the midterm environment we're expected to see an R-positive midterm environment at the minimum. Republicans are going to pick up this open seat. There's no Democratic incumbent, and I'm not too sure of any real strong Democrats running in this district or any weak Republicans. And again, both the Republican and Democratic national parties are going to put a lot of money in seats like these because with no incumbents, they're extremely competitive, especially given the partisan lean. Moving on down to Colorado's 6th congressional district. This is a district held, 7th rather. This is a district held by an incumbent Democratic, Ed Perlmutter. He actually was previously in a safe Democratic district at D+15 and won his last election by over 20 points. So already he did slightly overperform Biden in this district, but he's moving into less friendly territory this time around. It's a D+6 district, but it is Colorado, so I'm going to give the Democrats a slight edge in this district. I'm going to make it a lean Democrat since he is an incumbent for at least part of the district. He does have a record to actually run on. This very well could change, and again, I'll update all of these regional predictions in October as the state of these races gets a lot more clear, but right now, I think that Perlmutter will win this by a lean margin. And finally, we go to Lauren Boebert's district. Last time around, Lauren Boebert only won her district with 51% of the vote. She was an unproven commodity at the time. She was extremely controversial. Now I think she's kind of been overshadowed by Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I think a lot of that is going to kind of help her do better in this district. Again, she's in a safe district. There's no way she's losing the district. She was in an R+12 previously. She's now in an R+15. It's going to be safe. I just wanted to talk about it for a bit because last time it was quite close, and you'll have people arguing that this won't be a safe result. I think it's without a doubt a result in which Lauren Boebert wins by a safe margin, and if she doesn't, it'll be by like 11 or 10, but we'll fix that in the fall prediction if that looks like it's going to be the case. Moving on down to New Mexico. New Mexico is probably the most heavily gerrymandered state on this list. It's a state that routinely votes over 40% for Republicans, really over 42% for Republicans, yet there is not a single district in New Mexico that has a Republican lean or even an even partisan lean. You're looking at all 3 districts having a Democratic lean. So for starters, we'll start off with New Mexico's first. This is going to be a likely Democratic seat. Probably a high likely margin, 10 or 11 points, but I think given the wave environment, it won't be 12 or higher. Stanberry is a pretty strong candidate, though, so I might update this again in the fall prediction if it looks like she's going to run away with this. But I think as of right now, we're looking at a 10 or 11 point margin in this district. Next, we'll move on to New Mexico's third. If New Mexico has a significant red wave, this could be a competitive district. But I think as of right now, you're looking at the incumbent Democrat holding on to this seat with a lean margin. I think she'll probably win by about 3 to 4 points when all's said and done. It's a D+5. If we're looking at even an R+2 environment, for instance, that means the Democrat is likely only to win by a couple of points. And we could see a more red environment like that, or we could see a better challenger because, again, these partisan ratings are not a science and can easily change with one election cycle. Moving on down to Yvette Harrell's district. She previously was in an R+14 district, a very, very red district, New Mexico's lone red district. Now she's been moved into a D+4, so that is a humongous shift to the left. Now, her last election result, she was up against a Democratic incumbent. She won this race with 53.7% of the vote. So she won by about 6 points. Now, looking ahead at the 2022 elections, we're looking at a positive environment for Republicans. She's in a hostile district, but I think her incumbency advantage coupled with the year will put her over the top, but I think she only wins by about 2 to 3 points. I can't see her winning by more than that unless we see a dramatic shift in New Mexico, because again, her new district encompasses a lot of Albuquerque and parts of Bernalillo County, which is very blue. Formerly, she was in mostly safe red territory, so this wouldn't have been really a question as to whether or not she would win. And the former Republican incumbent, Steve Pierce, in a lot of these off-year elections, wins by nearly 30 points when you go back to 2014 and 2010. So I think she wins by about 2 or 3. I think it's going to be close, but I think she's going to eke it out. She could win by a bit more, and again, the result of the low margin that she got in 2020 can really be attributed to the fact that she was up against a blue dog Democratic incumbent. Moving on over to Arizona. Arizona's independent commission, unlike California's, really benefited the Republican Party. So for starters, we're going to take a look at Arizona's second. This is an R+15 district. It was previously just R+6. Tom O'Halloran, in my opinion, is dead on arrival. I think he loses this election easily by about 8 to 10 points. I'm leaning towards 10, a 54 to 44% margin, and I think in future elections, this district will be a lot redder. He was also sort of a moderate blue dog Democrat, and if we go back to the 2020 election results, he barely hung on to this seat. If the national environment was just a bit redder or Donald Trump had done better in the state, it's likely that he would have lost his re-election. I think in 2022, he doesn't have a shot. He's running again for re-election. I think he loses easily by a likely margin. Moving on down to Arizona's second, this is Ann Kirkpatrick's former district. She's not running for re-election. That leaves the seat wide open for Republicans to take, and it's R+7, so this is another likely Republican district in my opinion. She previously held a D+2 district and actually overperformed quite considerably, winning with 55 to 44% of the vote in the last election. 45, I guess, if you round up. So she did overperform. It was a D+2. She kind of made it seem like a D+4 district. So that's going to be a likely Republican flip. So already we have 2 Republican flips for the Republican Party. Moving on over to Arizona's 6th congressional district. This is David Schweikkert's district. He actually was in a position in 2022 that was pretty undesirable. He almost lost his re-election in this district. He only won with 52% of the vote, despite this district being a solidly Republican district, R+13. I think this time around the year does help him out. I think he wins by about 6 points, but I don't think he's the strongest incumbent, seeing as also in 2018 we saw his district get a whole lot bluer. Now, I'm not too familiar with this congressman in general. If somebody can let me know. I'm not sure if he's unpopular with the base or if his district is just moving dramatically to the left, but ultimately I think he still will hold on by a likely margin just given the environment. Finally, we move on down to the 9th congressional district. This is Greg Stanton's district. It was previously a D+15. Now it is just a D+1. Looking at Greg Stanton as a candidate, he did overperform a considerable amount. You have a 61% of the vote showing to 38.4 back in 2020. This was D+15. Keep in mind there were districts that were rated as D+18 that were actually closer, like New Mexico's first. So again, the district PVI isn't really a science. I think since the dramatic shift away from the traditional territory of this district into much redder territory will be the death knell for Greg Stanton, but I think it'll be a much closer margin than these races. I'm going to put it as tilt Republican right now. I think he only loses by about 2. He does seem to be somewhat of a strong incumbent, but again, that could very well change as we get into the fall predictions. Moving on over to the state of Nevada. Nevada is very interesting to categorize because we're looking at the potential that Republicans could win all 4 seats in the Nevada House delegation. Now, the old map essentially had 1 safe red district, 1 safe blue district, and 2 toss-ups or R-lean districts. Now we have all of these districts with Democratic leans, but you take incumbents like Dina Titus, who was previously in a safe Democratic district that encompassed most of Las Vegas, and now you put her in much redder territory. So first off, we'll start off with Susie Lee's district in Nevada's 3rd. I think that's going to be a flip for the Republicans. It's only a D+2 now. I think you're going to see Nevada trend a lot more to the right this election. Again, it's been slowly irking towards the right since 2008 on the federal level. I think this time the result is going to surprise a lot of people. I think Nevada will go red by a couple of points on the Senate and governor's level. I think this is certainly going to be a flip for the Republicans. I'm going to put it as lean right now. I think it'll be a bit closer. Also, another flip for the Republicans, I think, is going to be Nevada's 4th congressional district, which is a D+5, but I think that the incumbent will lose. Now, I've looked at the incumbent before. He has lost in the past. Representative Horsford, I think, lost back in 2014. He won in 2018 by a closer margin. 2020, he actually won by a considerable margin. He won by about 5 points, but I think that's not enough for him to keep his seat. And since even though this district is going to be voting to the left of the nation, I think it's likely that he loses, but it's going to be close. I just think the red wave in Nevada will carry him over the top. Finally, we look at Nevada's 1st congressional district. This is a D+4. This is going to be a very interesting prediction, but I actually think Dina Titus could actually hold on in this district, but I think it's going to be very close. She is a more new Democrat than, sort of a progressive type. Progressive Democrats actually have been trying to oust her, so if she does somehow lose her primary, I think this rating does change considerably. But I think if she does hold on, she'll narrowly hold her seat in this district. I still think a bulk of her district is in urban Las Vegas, and I'm not sure if really they've kind of split Las Vegas down the middle. But I think she will actually hold on, whereas Horsford and Susie Lee will actually lose their reelection. So that's going to be a very interesting prediction. And again, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Republicans to win all of these seats. But I think as of right now, she holds on to her seat. And that brings us to the state of California. So we'll start off with the Orange County area and move our way up. So first off, we have a number of districts to go through. We'll start off with the 49th Congressional District, which is a D+5, Mike Levin's district. This is basically identical almost to the PVI that he had in the last district. In fact, the district got a little bit redder, actually. If we go back to the 2020 election, Levin won his district with 53% of the vote to basically 47. I think he loses this district narrowly in 2022, given the midterm environment. Again, when you really look at the 2018 midterms and 2014, you look at wave years, a lot of incumbents lose their seats. Just because somebody's an incumbent doesn't mean they're going to hold on because they're in a D+6 district or an R+6 district in any given wave year. That doesn't really protect them a whole lot. I think Levin loses this by a narrow margin, but I think nonetheless you're going to see Orange County in general kind of trend back a bit slightly in this midterm, although I think ultimately Orange County will go the way of San Diego and kind of continually vote for Democrats into the foreseeable future. Moving on over to California's 40th, this is Young Kim's district. She's a relatively popular representative. I think she wins this by a likely margin easily. I could even see it being about 8 to 9 points. So not much to talk about there. Moving on over to Michelle Steele's district. She's now in a D+5. Formerly, she was in an R+2. Looking at her election result back in 2020, she did have a strong result. She overperformed her district's partisan voting index. As D+2 would really mean about a 50 to 48 Dem vote in 2020. She actually ended up winning with 51 to 48. This is another representative. I think she'll hold on, but I think it'll just be I think it'll just be by a lean margin. So I keep clicking the wrong thing. So we'll change that into lean Republican for right now. And that leaves us with the last district in the Orange County area, Katie Porter's district. Katie Porter, it looks like, if we go back to the last election, she did slightly better than Levin did. Again, this is still a very close district. We're taking a look at a district that previously was D+6, is now D+6. It hasn't changed. Given the environment, we're going from a D+5, where Katie Porter is getting about 53.5% of the vote, to likely an R+4 environment. I think she narrowly loses. Another bold prediction. I think she'll lose this race, but I think it'll be close. Moving on up to Mike Garcia, California's 25th. I think now it's not the 25th. I think it's the 27th. The independent, the so-called nonpartisan independent commission has moved this district from D+5 to D+8. I think ultimately Mike Garcia holds on in this race. Again, he won in a district where Joe Biden won with 10 points. He barely eked it out, though. He won by a couple hundred votes. Now, I think Mike Garcia ends up winning this district by a lean margin, but about 3 points. But keep in mind, in the future, I think this district is probably going to flip blue, if not in 2024, in 2026, unless we see this district really trend to the right more. But I think a district that's D+8, it's very unlikely that he's going to hold on in future elections. But right now, I think he's in a good position to win re-election. Moving on up, we have the District of California's 22nd, Valadeo. He actually won in the bluest district, I think, in the country for a Republican, if I'm not mistaken, D+10. Biden won this district by a large amount. I believe he actually was somebody that voted for Trump's impeachment, if I'm not mistaken. I'm tempted. I don't really know if he has a significant primary challenger. I'm going to assume that he's running for re-election. And if that's the case, I do think he holds on to this district by a lean margin. Now, the partisan voting index of this district was D+9 last time. He ends up winning by D+10. He actually unseated an incumbent Democrat, so that goes to show you that he is somewhat of an electoral juggernaut. So I think as of right now, this is going to be a lean Republican seat, but it might change again if he loses a primary or if he's not the nominee. If he doesn't decide to run for re-election, I think it does change this a bit. Finally, we have 2 more districts left to cover. We have California's 9th and we have California's 13th. I think California's 13th will be a Republican pickup. It's a D+7, but there's no incumbent running in this district. And given that the environment that we're expected to see, I think it carries the Republicans over the top easily in this district. But it will be by about 2 to 3 points, maybe 4, depending on the nominee. Finally, we're taking a look at California's 9th. We're looking at a situation where 2 incumbent Democrats are challenging each other. I don't know if that's actually the case or not, because 538 doesn't really seem to be very accurate with who's actually running in these districts or not. But nonetheless, this is a D+8. It does have it's going to have 1 Democratic incumbent. As of right now, I will give the Democrats a slight advantage in this district. So that puts us at the end of our Southwest predictions at 158 for the Republicans, 101 for the Democrats. Next, we'll probably be covering the Mid-Atlantic, so stay tuned for that video. It will come out later this week. I'm actually going to be away this week again, so unfortunately I won't be able to live stream the primaries that are happening on Tuesday, but I will maybe do a live stream when I get back, kind of talking about the results, and I promise I'll live stream in future primary elections. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Please leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any more videos I put out. Let's try and get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the month. And as always, again, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.